At first, I was expecting this movie to be a normal Jason Statham simple plot movie, but behind the scenes was a very talented director who turned my mindset from a simple plot to a very complex action brutal movie which had a very satisfying ending and kept me glued to the screen. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Edmond here. Welcome to Eddy's Reviews, where we do reviews of action, adventure, sci-fi, and animation movies. So if this kind of content interests you, please consider subscribing. Stick around. Let's get right into the video. So today, we are going to be talking about Wrath of Man. The director of this movie was Guy Ritchie, and the main actor of this movie was Jason Statham, who acted the character of Hale, mostly called Eddy. Now, let me give you the baseline about this movie, then we are going to get straight into everything you need to know about this movie. So this movie follows a plot on Eddy, which we talked about already, who was Jason Statham, and this led him into working in a cash truck company which is responsible for transferring hundreds of millions of dollars every week around Los Angeles. Now, let's get into everything you need to know about this movie. Now, the first scene of this movie is when these guys were transferring this money in this truck. So, as they reached a particular point, this truck was being hijacked by these hijackers. So, as they got these guys out of the vehicle, they started removing this money out of the vehicle. And as they were removing this money, in the background we heard some gunshots. So, these gunshots, they were in two parts. The first part of this gunshot was to kill the driver and the guard who was in this truck. Then the second part of this gunshot was unknown. So stick around to get to know who this gunshot landed on. Now let's talk a little bit about this cash truck company. So who were their clients? So their clients were large-scale department stores, marijuana dispensers, casinos, private banks, and these guys were not legal, so they were not federal. So this business they used to do was just middleman, where they transport money from one place to another. Now, Jason came in to look for a job in this company, and they needed some requirement that after your training, you are supposed to have completed the training with at least 70%. So during the training, Jason was quite average. So everything he was doing, he was not doing it based on his top-notch ability. And the last part about the training was the shooting part, where he had to be on target and so on. But he was not actually on target, and they thought he was doing this because he was not very good at shooting. But there was something at the background, because while he was doing this training, he was shooting at some particular parts on this paper where he had to do the target. Stick around to get to know why he was shooting at this particular part in the movie. And also, it is linked to the gunshots which I talked about at the first scene of this movie. Now let's talk about the first hijacking scene which Jason was involved in. So they were instructed to go to this particular part and stop the truck and offload this money. So as they stopped the truck and Jason was at the back trying to offload this money, he intentionally dropped one bag on the ground. And as he dropped the bag, so he made that so that one person from the truck, and that is where the fun in this movie begins. Jason in this particular part and the rest of the movie had an insane accuracy in his shots. And just take a look at this. Like, just his body gestures make you to just fall in love with him and the way he was acting in this particular part of the movie. And I want to say, doing all of this, he stayed calm, cool, and collected. During the second hijacking scene, Jason was in the vehicle with one of his co-workers who was called Bullet. So as these guys started trying to hijack this vehicle, they told them to get out of the vehicle and so on. And as they were moving out, Jason moved out at the back of the truck, and immediately as he removed the mask which he was trying to cover himself from this smoke, these guys immediately went away without harming or doing anything to anyone. And this was because these guys who were trying to hijack this vehicle this time around were working for Jason. After every work day, all of the workers had to sign out. So they had their cards where they'll just slot it in this place, and it definitely marks the time which they are signing out. And every day Jason has to sign out. He always comes, takes a look and stares at these people, and he even took photographs of all of these cards. And that was because he was doing some investigations. And also, just to channel with these investigations, the first hijacking scene, when he killed all of these people who came to hijack, he actually opened all of their faces to look if the target which he wanted to get, if he had killed, but he had not gotten that target. So he had to continue doing his investigation to get to who he wanted at the end of the movie. I know I have given you a lot of suspense to this part of the video. Now let me break the suspense. And if you are liking the content in this video, please smash the like button and subscribe. You remember in the first scene when I told you, as these guys were offloading the money from this truck, there were two parts of gunshots where the first one was to kill the driver and the guard who was in this truck, and the second one I did not disclose. Now let's talk about it. So at this particular scene where this was happening, Jason had left his son in the car and he had gone out to buy something. So as he was coming back, his son was a witness. As these guys were killing the driver of this truck and the guard, his son witnessed this, and so one of these hijackers had to kill him. He shot and killed him at various parts in his body. That is the liver, the lung, the spleen, and lastly the heart. So after he shot this, Jason was running towards them to look after his son. So Jason was shot, but he did not die. I'm pretty sure at this point in this video you are getting to understand this movie, because this is the reason why after Jason recovered, he now went into investigation to look for this particular person who shot his son dead. That is why he went to work in this cash truck company, because based on his investigation, it led him to someone who worked in this company, who was the eyes of these hijackers who always hijacked these vehicles. The final scene of this movie was one of the most tense, because this was the part where these hijackers wanted to do the greatest heist they had ever done while hijacking these vehicles. They did not just want to hijack a single truck, they wanted to hijack the entire depot where this cash gets in and is being stored before being transferred from one place to another in Los Angeles. So they did their plan so very well. They had body armor well guarded so that even if they are being shot, they are going to be shielded. So after all of these, they got themselves into this depot, but all of them who got in did not survive, and only one of these hijackers survived. And guess who? It was the person who killed Jason's son. So after he successfully got away with all of this money and he was about to start living his real life, Jason appeared from nowhere and got into his house, where now he confronted him and told him that he has done all of his investigation and it finally landed onto him because he was the one who killed his son. And this particular part where this guy killed Jason's son, that is the same way Jason had his revenge on his son on this guy. Now, you remember when I told you in the video that during his training, during the time when they were training him how to shoot, he shot at some particular point which was off target and not directly at the center which they expected him to do. That is because he was planning and training for this final scene in the movie where he's going to do his revenge on this guy, because this guy had shot his son on the liver, the lung, the spleen, and lastly the heart. So he did his training and shot at this card at this particular point, and that is the same way he killed and revenged at this guy, by shooting him on the liver, the lung, the spleen, and finally the heart. This was one of the most satisfying moments because all of the tension which you gathered in this movie was brought to rest at this particular part of the movie. I have to tell you, this was so amazing and pleasing. This movie was about 2 hours long, and that is because a couple of scenes in this movie were repeated, just like the one which I was talking about where these guys were first of all hijacking, then his son was there, and so on and so forth. That scene was repeated about 2 times in this movie, and that is because the first time where this scene was being shown, we actually didn't understand what was happening because the movie was just fresh. They were trying to bring us into the feeling of the tension in this movie. Then the second time when it was shown, that is when we actually understood everything about this particular scene in this movie. Now, these are my impressions about this movie. This movie was just so amazing. It had this dark bluish kind of cinematic look to it with no contrasting sharp colors, and this was something which I loved so very much. Jason in this movie was just a mysterious character. He was just so very calm, collected, very serious, very cold, and he always wore a very serious face with some kind of grief in his eyes. And from the beginning to the end of this movie, I did not see Jason smile even once. And to spice everything up was the background sound which was put in this movie. And to be very honest, it just blended all of the dark and brutal action scenes in this movie, giving it a complete satisfaction. At the end, this movie is a 100% recommendation. If you have watched this movie, please let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. If you have not watched this movie, I'm going to leave a link in the description below where you can go into my Telegram group which I created, and you can download the movie for free. So this is all I had for you guys today. If you love what you have seen and you long to see more, please let me know in the comment section down below. And don't forget to click up here in the cards to get to the previous video which I made. And on that note, catch you guys in the next one.